meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone tonight. I hope you had a great Memorial weekend. I know there was a lot of sunshine, but I got wind burp. Oh, excuse me. Knock my eyes off. Won't be able to see. Move right along to additions or deletions to our agenda. If there's not any, I ask for a motion that be approved.
So moved, Mayor.
Got a motion by Anthony,
Second.
second by John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. So ordered. Okay, the consent agenda. I'll also need a motion that they be approved.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Second.
All right. I'm going to skip back here to the calendar. I'll skip the calendar here. On the calendar, Saturday, June 7th, we got Meet Me at the Arch from 6 to 9. Anything special about that?
Yes.
Well, the event.
I mean, you want to give us anything?
It's Joyce Massey is the next to the planning for that, but it's the Haywood Big Band, I think is the name of the group we settled on, and they'll perform underneath the arch.
So we're going to have the stage set up and everything like before,
Yes,
and the
sir.
part of the street blocked off.
Yep, just this block down here, there'll be some kids' activities, and the beer garden, and
Okay, everyone please come out, June the 7th, for Meet Me Under the Arch. We're going to have music, entertainment. Tuesday, June 10th will be our next, regular scheduled board meeting. So we move along. Okay, we got a presentation tonight by our assistant.
I think I made a motion to approve the consent agenda. Mr. Dixon, Councilman Dixon second, so we still
Okay,
have to
all
vote.
right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Okay, I thought we covered that. All right. Yep. We don't have it.
I don't think.
There wasn't any public comment tonight, correct? Okay. All right. Deb? Okay.
I think the clerk likes it to be acknowledged.
You like for it to be acknowledged? Okay.
For the sake of the record.
I like it. There ain't no public comment tonight. Nobody beating us up for it.
Well,
Okay.
At
we
least
move-
if the house is young.
Yeah, yeah. We move on to presentation. Our Fire Chief Chris Mahaffey is going to introduce us our new Assistant Chief and also our new Captain promotion.
Well, first off, I'd like to say thank you to Manager Hides for giving me this opportunity to serve these fine folks, and also to the council for all your support and your well wishes before and after. I can't tell you what that means to me. Thank y'all. But this is about these guys tonight, so this is the good stuff. So we get to celebrate their accomplishments, and first off, I'd like to call up Cody Collins. So Cody's worked for the fire department for about almost 10 years, and he's been a D-shift captain for the last 4 years. His wealth of knowledge on emergency management can't be overstated. He's a subject matter expert, so we're very lucky to be able to move him into that. He's been the assistant emergency management coordinator for 7 years at the county, so he'll still be doing some of that on the side. So just like to congratulate him. Girls.
All right.
I do appreciate it. Thank you for allowing us to come up here and parade our folks up here in front of you. So we do. We appreciate it very much. And hopefully be able to serve the town well as we move forward. So,
Congratulations, Coach.
Congratulations.
All right. Next, I'd like to call up Shane Messer. His face should be pretty familiar here at the town of Waynesville. Having been an employee here since early 2000s. Before he came to the fire department in 2012, he was worked for the street department, was a crew leader there. So his experience within the town can't be overstated either. So we're lucky to have him. So.
Sticky baby. Oh.
It's been a pleasure and honor to serve with these guys, and I'm not much of a public speaker.
We'll fix that.
But I've enjoyed being around the town since 2002, and I'm excited for the future of the fire department.
Thank y'all for letting us do that.
On behalf of this town board, we'd like to congratulate you guys. Look forward to working with you. Okay, move right along. We've got New Development Services Instagram account. Alex, would you like to, and Tyler? You guys would like to.
Hello, council. We are here to present you our new Instagram page. Developmental Services has created an Instagram page for public outreach, so it works as a education source for their stormwater permit and many other reasons. We've used it to create fun, informational videos to explain what our jobs here in local government are, so people in our community can better understand and have super fun collaborations. Yeah.
Yeah, so this account, you can find it at Waynesville DevServe on Instagram. And it just works for capacity building with outreach. And we're just trying to make fun videos, but also videos that help educate people on town functions. And so this first video is related to Strive Not to Drive Week, which was this past week from the 16th to the 24th. And we actually reached out to the Asheville Tourists baseball team, and they allowed us to collaborate with their mascot, Mr. Moon, on this video. It also features Mr. Mayor in his acting debut, riding the
Kevin
bus.
Inslee.
And yeah, it just shows everything you can do on the bus, going to the park, going grocery shopping. And it's a lot of fun.
Oh,
the music.
If I know you was gonna show that movie, I would have excused everybody.
You did a great job. And so we've got one more video, and this one's a little more informational, but it goes over the process of what a land development permit is. So if you want to build anything in town, you need a land development permit, and this goes over a lot of what that permit is looking for and some of the restrictions, but to keep people safe, to help people. What? Yeah. Oh yeah. you know what it is. Yeah.
That was great. That was great.
So yeah, both of these videos actually have over 600 views on Instagram, which we're pretty happy about. And we're just working on growing the account, making more videos. If y'all would ever like to be in one, or you have any suggestions for videos,
We're always looking for new
Reach out.
actors. But that's the direction we want to take the account. It wants to be, just educational, informative, and help the community better understand what we do in developmental services as the land use administrator, stormwater coordinator, and just the whole department as a whole.
Yeah, that was a great job. Very proud of you guys.
Love it.
thank you.
Keep up the good work. Thank you. Okay. Guys, if you don't want to sit this, you can be excused. It's up to you guys. If you want to stay with us throughout the meeting, or if you want to be excused, you can be excused. I promise there'll be no more videos.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank y'all for coming out.
You sure you don't want to stay for budgets?
I think that overset too, but
I can't imagine why.
no.
He said you're excused.
Okay, we'll move on to new business. We got a policy request for flexibility in the landscape ordinance for properties impacted by the North Carolina DOT roadway projects. ET, did you bring us up to par on that?
Yes, sir. Thank you, everyone. Good evening. With the Russ Avenue widening and improvement project, DOT has created a construction easement in addition to the eventual roadway easement. This has created a problem for people trying to adhere to our landscape ordinance, which requires trees be planted at the frontages of buildings and along the sidewalk. Therefore, what we're asking you to do tonight is allow us a policy where we can do a fee in lieu of those landscaping requirements in order that we can come back and plant those trees later after the project is complete. We're going to be taking this idea to the town planning board for a formal text amendment. But in the meantime, we actually have 2 properties along Russ Avenue that we'll need to be working with. And then If it's passed by the planning board, it will come to you for a public hearing, and hopefully that could be something we regulate into the future. It will give people who are impacted by roadway projects some flexibility and give us options for maintaining our landscape. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I actually got a call, on that, Russ Avenue, and it's probably the person that came to see you. I sent them to see you because they called me and they said, Mayor, we're trying to put up our landscape here, but DOT's got a silk fence right down the middle of this area there. What do we do? I said, go see Elizabeth Teague at Development Services. I said, don't do nothing until you go see her, so.
Well, we realized we didn't want to, we want to be able to work with each individual property owner in a way that makes sense. But in some of these cases, what the ordinance allows in terms of alternative compliance won't help them. And so we don't also at the same time want to give up having street trees along the roadway. So this will be a way for us to do both.
Question. Will the fee include, so will the town then plant the trees?
Yes.
So our fee will include additional cost of installing the trees?
We haven't calculated the fees yet, but generally what we do, like with the fee in lieu of sidewalk construction,
Mm-hmm.
we get, in this case, it would be the cost of materials plus what they would pay a landscaping firm to install them.
Okay, great.
So hopefully that would cover our costs.
All right, thank you.
So the fee itself has not been determined at this
Yeah,
point.
it wouldn't be a fixed fee. What we normally do in fee in lieu situations is, so for example, Aspen Dental is liable for 5 street trees. So in addition to the purchase of the 5 street trees, there's actually their cost of their landscaping firm to install. We ask for that cost estimate written out, and instead of them doing that work, they would give us a check for that. And we would have to come back and use that money to install the trees ourselves.
Okay.
Anthony, you have any questions?
No, that's.
Julia?
No, sir.
All right, we got some motions here to pass. Anybody would like to make a motion to implement the?
I'll make a motion to implement a policy to allow development impacted by NCDOT roadway projects to provide a fee in lieu of planting requirement for street trees in order for planting to be implemented when feasible and in coordination with NCDOT.
Second.
Got a motion by Anthony, second by John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so like sign.
I can make the next one. I move that we direct staff to develop a text amendment with the planning board to address the need within the land development standards, section 8.2.4, alternative compliance, and to establish an account in which to hold such funds until such time as they can be used toward the landscaping for which they are intended.
Okay, you got a motion. Second by Julia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so like sign. Okay, Ms. E.T.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on. We have a public hearing to present for year 26 budget for, I'll also need a motion to open a public hearing.
I move we open the public hearing, Mayor.
All right, got a motion by John,
Second.
second by Anthony. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, before any public comment on that, will be after the finance director has presented this, is what we plan to do there, because there's some things that needs to be ironed out here that he can also set us straight. Okay, Ian?
Everybody's favorite day of the year.
This is my favorite. I love this.
This is like my Super Bowl, I worked so hard all year just to get to this point, and then we see what happens.
I'm worried about the tush push.
All right, so I'm going to start out, just prepared kind of a high-level overview where we're looking at in the budget, and then the ending slide kind of has some other changes that will pertain to the budget. So let me get my PowerPoint out here so I don't have to squint across the room. This PowerPoint will look really familiar to most of you guys. So in terms of general fund revenues, we're projecting about $8,832,600. As you all know, our tax collector, Sharon Agostini, she does a great job collecting taxes, and we feel very comfortable projecting this to be collected next year. For other taxes and licenses, we're looking at $4,806,960 for unrestricted intergovernmental revenue fund, which will consist of your beer and wine taxes, your court facility fees, and franchise taxes. Looking at $841,500 for restricted intergovernmental, which is your PAL bill, solid waste disposal tax, PAL bill investment earnings. We're at $463,500 for permits and fees. There's a whole laundry list of different permits and fees included in that, but it's going to be mainly your different fees associated with developmental services. We're looking at $326,800 for sales and services. We're looking at $1,432,850, and then for all other revenues, it's going to be miscellaneous revenue, parking tickets, donations, rents, sales of materials and fixed assets, and investment income. We are at $497,000 even, and then other financing sources at $2,033,521. So then for our expenses, for personnel and fringe, we're at $15,205,308. This is just the general fund here. One thing I want to touch on with the expenses in the general fund before we get too into everything else, there were two things that were a little bit of an oversight on the previous budget. We went ahead and remedied these. One of those was funding the DWA for their special events. Basically, we're consolidating into where we had funds in various line items. We're trying to consolidate those into one line item. So we're wondering how much it cost, put on the Heritage Festival. We can just pull up that line item and see everything instead of having to go on Easter egg hunt in our general ledger. And that was how that got left off, was something new, and there was just a miscommunication. And then the other thing that we added was $8,000 to Parks and Recreation to add wayfinding signage. Our other big general fund expenditures, we're going to have $5,081,646 for other operating expenses, $722,019 for loan payments, $980,195 for income service costs. The $3,094,437, those are the sort of 5 general funds, so it's come out of water and electric, stormwater, and then we have $270,000 in capital outlay. And I have separated all the capital requests at the end of this presentation, so you guys will be able to see just a nice clean cut picture of capital requests. In the water fund, we have $3,479,876 customer charges, and $66,500 for all our revenues, and maybe $7,651 for other financing sources. Then in our expenses, we have $1,483,517 for personnel and fringe, $1,231,233 for operating expenses, $68,713 for loan payments, $760,574 the charges by the general fund to the water fund, and then $100,000 in capital outlay. Then in the sewer fund, we've got $4,718,250 for sewer fund rent for the customer service portion of that, and $140,875 for all other revenues. And then in the expenses, we're at $1,669,035 for personnel and fringe, $1,475,045 for operating. And then this fiscal year, we are beginning payments on our new wastewater treatment plant, which will be $1,202,295 annually. So you'll notice in this, on this slide, there's no charges by the general fund with us. With this being the first year we're taking on that debt payment, we're trying to take it a little easy in the sewer fund. So we're taking them out and we haven't notated kind of workbooks just so it's, we're looking at it next year. We'll remember why we took it out. And then $100,000 for capital outlay in this fund. The electric fund, we're at $11,338,500 for customer charges, $91,000 for all other revenues. And then for the expenses, $505,053 for personnel and fringe, $1,352,290 for operating, $6,470,000 even for power purchases, and then $1,255,236 are the charges by the general fund, $200,000 for capital, then $1,646,921 for operating transfers. Stormwater's got one source of revenue, the stormwater fee, the customer charges. We're looking at $193,238. And then on the expense side, we're at $76,573 for personnel and fringe, $34,575 for operating, and then $82,090 for the charges by the general fund. So this is just a kind of year over year overview on where we're going. See, between 24 to 25, there was about $1.25 million increase. This year, there's under $1 million between all the funds. So between every fund, we're looking at a total budget of $38,947,882. And then the capital slide that I mentioned to y'all earlier. So we're looking at putting a new roof on our public works building. It's $250,000. We really need that roof. We deal with leaks when it rains a lot. And then a new mower for the cemetery, and then, which will be $20,000. $50,000 also for the cemetery to help implement that cemetery master plan. Water maintenance, we're looking at $100,000 for a high-track excavator. Sewer treatment, $100,000 for a primary clarifier rehabilitation. Electric maintenance, looking at $200,000 for a backyard machine. And then in the garage fund, concrete slab and roof for lift. So our garage team is able to work on cars better.
Can I interrupt you on one thing? The money for the cemetery comes from the, what's it called?
It comes to the trust fund.
The trust fund.
Yes, the 50,000 does, yes,
What do
sir.
we call it, perpetuary or?
The perpetual care
Perpetual
fund.
fund, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Out of the user fees, there's two areas worth noting. So we are proposing a 10% rate increase for Most of the parks and recreation fees, we simply, the fees we charge now, not covering the cost of staff time and resources. We should at least be breaking even on that. And then a 10% rate increase for sewer charges as well to help pay for the debt payment starting this year. I just threw a lot of information at y'all.
Ed, do you have any questions?
Yeah, that's.
Y'all's time to ask questions.
Well, no questions right now, but there is an addition to the budget that'll be later.
Okay.
John has pointed out in our user fees, we charge $65 for off-duty police officers, and our user fees have 25. That's an oversight. We haven't charged 25 for a century, so we just haven't updated that fee, so that can simply be done by motion.
Okay, yeah, I took the user fee sheet from last year.
I know,
updated it,
and
so-
that fee hasn't changed since I've been manager, so, but the current fee is 65.
We'll have to do that whenever we approve the
That's
fees.
right.
You have any questions?
But you
John?
can update fees at any time.
You can.
No, sir.
You can.
Sure.
I'm good
Any
for that.
further questions for
Public hearing.
And
No, I'd like to thank Ian for answering all my questions the past week or so. He spent several hours with me, so
Okay,
very appreciative.
okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the presentation for the information, and then we'll go into the, and then we'll go into public hearing.
Oh, no,
I've
the,
got to ask for.
so we gotta close the public hearing.
Okay.
And then you'll accept the presentation.
Okay.
And then you'll go to
Okay.
the discussion
Oh,
of
boy.
adopting the budget.
I'll make a motion to close public hearing.
Look, just say,
But we have to ask. the-
before that, we have to
Yeah,
ask,
we have to ask.
we have to ask, are there anyone in the public would like to speak on behalf of this budget? Okay, now you can close.
I'll make a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
All right, motion second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Okay, now you make a.
Now I stand correct, yes. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the presentation for the information presented.
Okay, got a motion by Julie,
Second.
second by Anthony, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Okay. Okay, thank you. We'll move to a budget workshop. And so we'll continue the review of the 25-26 annual operating budget. Rob, you want to, anything?
I don't have any further comments. I made my budget message at your last meeting and Ian's kind of gone through it. We're open for any comments or questions you have regarding any item in this budget.
Okay, I'll start on this. And Chuck, do you have any questions?
I don't.
Julie?
No, sir, I'll defer to Anthony. We've got something that we want to bring
Okay,
up.
John?
I do have one question in regards to the sales tax calculation. Pardon me while I get back to this. The pardon me. You go on. It's
Go
gonna take.
We'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Anthony?
His
you-
screen's doing what mine's
Anthony, you have a question?
Yeah, actually, I have an addition to the budget. For the police budget, I'd like to add $19,000 for an IT-related item.
For what now?
An IT-related item.
Okay.
I can go into further detail if you'd like, but I prefer not to use them.
Okay.
Go too far. It's for investigative software, and I think it would benefit them tremendously to have this additional software.
Anyone Your question to Anthony's.
No, I concur with Anthony. I
Proposal.
think this is something vital and crucial as criminals get more sophisticated. We need more sophisticated intelligence and surveillance to keep our citizens safe in this town. And so I think it's a wonderful addition and a very small tool, small amount of money to really propel us into taking care of our citizens here within the community.
It would have greatly assisted with the previous incident we had with the bomb threats.
Yeah.
I think it would have alleviated a lot of that
You
time.
need a motion in it.
You can make a complete motion after you, resolve all your additions and deletions and just simply instruct us to bring back a budget or to adopt the budget with the changes you've made. You can make one
With the
motion.
exception.
You want to take it from fund balance?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, John, are you ready?
Yeah, finally. In your, in the budget, proposed budget for fiscal year 2025, you have 77.4 million in ad valorem taxes, and in 26, you have 7.45 million, and that equates to 1%, if my math is correct. And so you are projecting only a 1% rise in sales tax. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're being conservative with budgeting revenues. With the sales tax, we received guidance from the leading municipalities that we can project a 1 to 2% increase. We're stuck with 1, to be safe. I think that's,
Go over your experience rating month by, not every month, but you've got several months where you had a slight increase and then you have a couple of months where you had a decrease over last year. So kind of go over that.
yeah, so I think we touched on this at the retreat as
We did,
well.
we did.
We were keeping pretty on par, and then Colleen decided to come to town for a couple days, and that month started to fall short, and then around Christmas, we started to see things pick back up again. So far, our distributions in the spring have been pretty strong. So we're confident that we'll be able to, get that 1% increase after next fiscal year. Things have started to simmer down a little bit. I know in March, there was a lot of uncertainty when the tariffs started to come into effect. We're starting to see things take more of a calm approach. It's calmer than before. I think it's safe to that number.
There was a decline in the first quarter. If you look at the national trends, and there's supposed to be a decline in the second quarter, which would mean that we are possibly headed to a recession. So it would be best to be very conservative.
So, and I appreciate what you're saying there, but that is a huge line item in our budget as far as revenue, okay? And so I went back and totally get being conservative, especially given where we are with the economy and the ups and downs and swerves and what have you. I went back and looked at the audits from fiscal year 17 through fiscal year 2023. That was the last audit year I could find. And for the sales tax line in particular, we, in 17, we were under budget 2.27%. Next year, 0.98%. So still under. Next year, 2.89, 3.93. In 2021, 29.75% under. 12.06 in 22 and 6.14% in 23. Did not have the figures for 24 and 25. But my point is, yes, I understand we need to be conservative and make sure we don't get out over our skis. But I also understand that traditionally we under budget as far as sales tax. And 1% of 4 million, 4.6 million is a lot. And so is it reasonable that we could conceivably bump that figure a little higher? And if so, that would provide some revenue potentially that we could use to, for example, increase the COLA. I haven't looked at exactly what a percent might give us, but so the question becomes is, are we being too conservative, I guess is what I'm getting at. Based on historical evidence.
The problem is each budget year somewhat stands on its own. I mean, ever since COVID, each sales tax year seems to have unique dynamics that we haven't had in the last 15 or 20 years. And we are not just following the state's recommendation, but I think our fellow communities in Haywood County are looking at being very conservative with sales tax. You have $139,000 of your fund balance appropriated. So if you do get more sales tax revenue, you would simply be afforded a reduction in the fund balance that we're appropriating. In other words, you wouldn't have to spend 139 of your savings because you got another percent from sales tax.
You'd just be spending 100.
That's right.
Because it's 1% on 4 million, it's $40,000.
That's right. So you see my point is it simply reduces the fund balance allocation. If you wanted to go up a percent on the fund balance and give another percent on the COLA and we missed it, that would simply be more money out of the fund balance. So right now, whenever you're using your savings account, when you increase revenue, you simply decrease the amount of money coming out of your savings account. If you don't do it, then you just simply use less fund balance.
And what is the 1% COLA? Is something like 200,000?
Yeah, because the COLA will feed into FICA. We have retirement contributions this year too. Those are increasing. Another almost 1% for non-Leo and 1% for Leo. So all of that feeds into each other. So the 1% COLA and keeping the 2.5% career track is a pretty hefty increase just for that.
Totally get it. And like I said, whether or not, if we increased the percentage, what we would do with that money, I think is a very open question. But let me just give you in 21, coming out of COVID, we undershot by almost 30%. Okay, which ended up being almost $1 million. Okay, totally get that that's a once in a lifetime kind of thing. The next year was 12%. That was almost $500,000. Even in 23, which I would think we would have been, kind of out of the COVID experience, so to speak, it was $266,000. Okay. And so all I'm saying is, yes, I understand we need to pay attention to what the league is telling us and our fellow municipalities are doing. But historically, all I've heard since I've been on the council is we need to be conservative with that number. Okay. And yet every year we come back, when we look at those, where we ended up compared to what the league and our fellow municipalities did, we're undershooting that mark. And when times are tight in all of the contexts, could we nudge that number and still be safe and have extra money to do whatever? That's all I'm saying.
And I'm the one who always says go conservative, right? I feel like if we do get an increase, we can make budget amendments as we see them and do some of the capital items as they come along. But I'd hate to gamble at the front. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Tell you what, can you do this for me, Ian? Can you figure out where we were in 24 and 25 as far as what we budgeted for sales tax revenue compared to where we ended up? So budgeted versus actual for sales tax revenue for 24 and 25. At least as far as in 25 is still, the jury is out.
Yeah, I can do that. I have my laptop with me.
That's what I was getting ready.
Hop on.
Yeah,
Yes, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that this year maybe, I mean, we've had all sorts of things we've dealt with, at least in the last 5 years since I've been on the board. This may be a year of more uncertainty than any I've seen. I mean, we just don't know what the heck's going to happen.
And what we could do is after, when we do our retreat in February, we'll have that really important end of year Christmas bump that we get in sales tax. And if we do find that we're ahead, we can open it up to capital items that we weren't able to fund in this budget. But the fire and the police department requested vehicles that we can't fund. We could go open that budget back up and fund them during your February retreat.
Okay.
I can also tell you that the TDA is, of course, it's not necessarily, well, there is a relation because we're a tourism related town, but it is budgeting for less revenue for the coming fiscal year from the tourism taxes. There is certainly indication already that reservations are down. They may not end up being down because there's a marketing campaign that's getting ready to start, and people are delaying their reservations. They're not as long term as they used to be. They're not reserving
90 days out, they're doing 30 something days.
But there's, there's concern. I mean, we just don't know what's going to happen again with the tourism industry. A lot of people think we're still closed.
That's what
and that's why the TDA is spending money from its fund balance to do a specific marketing campaign to let people know that we're not closed. And usually I like spending fund balance and stuff like that. I'm maybe not quite as conservative as Anthony, but I would agree with you this year that I think that we should go with the projections by the.
I like the compromise that Rob
And again, we can always change things later on
Exactly.
if things get a lot better. And because there's lots of capital projects we could spend. I'm happy with I think it's very similar. The county does not give they don't have the same. They give a merit raise and a cost of living, but it's still at the same as we're doing, I believe.
1%.
And they have cost of living and they have merit raises. And we have our I never can remember
Career track.
Career track, which is the whole thing is 3.5%, which I think is a decent raise. Particularly since we reevaluated and everybody seems to be at pretty much the right level of salaries.
Yeah. Julie, you have anything?
No, I agree. I think we need, it's with these incredibly uncertain times, locally, nationally, and worldwide, that we need to be as conservative as we can. And I think Rob brought up a great point, that, we can look at February, but we can also look in December. And John, maybe this will be a good bridge between what you were thinking, because the number one thing we need to do is take care of our employees, because they are the greatest asset we have in this entire community. So it may be if we're looking great and sales are great going into December, there could be a larger bonus for our town employees that we haven't given in the past to help bridge that gap.
Because I certainly am concerned with capital spending. Okay, I've been banging the drum that we are so far behind on capital spending that, barring some kind of change in direction, we're never going to catch up. Okay, but this year my primary concern is the cost of living for our staff, and 1% is, it's something, but it ain't a whole lot. So what I would prefer is if we get to that point, and things are looking better than we anticipate, let's do something like what Joey is talking about, like push that into a higher bonus or something like that. But let's be sure that we don't lose sight of this in everything that's happens between now and December, because if y'all are like me, you can't remember what you had for breakfast this morning, and chances are we're going to forget. So let's make sure
Paige will not let us forget.
We'll be counting on you to help us remember. Sales tax comes, are they 3 months behind in us knowing? So in December, we would know, or 1st of December, we would know, we would have a pretty good idea. October, November. No. We'd know what the summer did anyway.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not the fall, but the summer.
What the summer passed.
One thing a bonus does that across the board increase doesn't do is it provides a higher percentage of income for the lowest paid employee. So if you give $1,000 bonus, that's a higher percentage raise than it would be for a department head. And so when you're looking at helping the least well-paid employees, a bonus actually works to your benefit.
Better, it does, yeah.
And personally, I like it because it's not a compounding expense that you
That's
don't have
correct.
to keep it.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions for?
I just have a question for Anthony. Where would you put the $19,000 for the IT item? There's
The
professional
capital
services, consultant fees. There's,
It's
Materials.
actually a lease, so I don't know.
it's a what? A
Yes,
lease?
it's
It'd be
be
a capital lease.
A capital lease.
So you use membership subscriptions?
No, we put it in the capital budget. It wouldn't appear.
So
in the
you
line
would,
item
so it'd be
budget.
another line item?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. No further questions?
How are you doing? So,
Year to date, we've collected sales tax, $3,105,605,000. That's the 8 months worth of sales tax in. And last year we had budgeted $4,680,000.
So we're
So about 2/3 their target.
So what's 75% of that? I don't have my calculator.
What was our? well,
75% of 4,680,000.
2/3.
I don't have my Excel open yet.
It was 8 months.
812, sorry about that.
wasn't
68%.
68%.
He's doing the,
Yeah, 2/3, I'm sorry.
68%, 67, 68.
So that's about on, that's pretty on par. We got 2/3 of our distribution so just a little over.
We're
And this year we had Helene,
Yeah.
and which totally screwed up things. I mean, who knows?
but we're,
They're
if I
coming fast
understood,
and
we're
furious.
2% over where we budget,
Not 3,182,400.
where we are.
so give us those numbers one more time.
So year to date, we collected $3,405,605. Total budget is almost $4,680,000.
4,600,000.
And 80.
$4,680,000.
And we've collected
3 million.
2/3 of, we've received 2/3 of the distributions, and that's 68% of the budget.
So
Budgeted amount.
2.5%.
So you have to take your 4,600,000.
So it's an increase of 2.5% at this point.
Just saying. I don't want to beat this horse. I am fine with where we are. I want to be sure because I'd love to flip that largesse, such as it is, back to our staff.
We could definitely go back,
Well,
you know, that
Hopefully
In
we'll
the
get
fall.
the 200, hopefully we'll finish 200,000 over, because that'll take up the fund balance difference and give another 50,000 for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Because right now we're 69,000, about 69,000 over collected, but we're in the hole 150,000.
good, good.
I'm ready to adopt the
Let's
budget.
do it.
Okay.
And
then,
I think I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the budget as presented with 3 changes. One, that we correct the off-duty police officers pay in the fees, that we add a line item to the police department, $19,000 for an IT item, and that we take that, the third thing, we take that amount from fund balance.
Okay, got a motion by Chuck,
Second?
second by Julia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Okay. You're good.
It's like
You
record.
gotta bring it back one more time, Craig.
No.
No,
That's
no.
it.
you're-
That's good.
One thing that we'd like to do this year that we haven't done in the past is about 2 months ago, in order to meet a grant deadline, we brought you a capital improvements plan, if you remember that, and you adopted that. With the change that we made to the budget tonight and the capital improvements that you just chose for this year, Ian's provided a new updated capital improvements plan, a 5-year plan that we'd like, or we'd recommend that you adopt. Again, it's a plan. It's not an ordinance, it's a plan. And because when we apply for grants, one of the questions they have is, do you have an updated capital improvements plan? And this would give us the opportunity to check that box. So, and we provided you with that plan in your information.
So you need a motion to adopt the presented 5-year capital plan
That's
with the
correct.
changes just made.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to accept the 5-year capital plan as presented with the change of $19,000 for this year for the police department.
Okay, motion by Anthony.
Second.
Second by Chuck. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, or like sign. Okay. Ayes carried. Okay, guys, we'll move there for communication from staff. Rob, you have anything else for us tonight?
Yeah, yes, sir. I have something that Ian and I got an update on when we went to a all-day work session on a new state revolving loan program that may be of great benefit to us. Let me just talk to you a little bit about that program we went to. There is about $770 million available through a new SRF loan process that is especially it's earmarked for Helene disaster recovered local governments. And it is a 0% loan with a 20-year amortization. However, distressed communities get 100% principal forgiveness. And that really, for us, if in fact the state hasn't marked us off the list, if we are still a distressed community as we should be, we would not repay this loan. And we, as you know, we've discovered we have a tremendous overflow problem at a very old junction box on Little Champion's property. And Diener is really slamming us to do something about it. We need to convert that gravity station into a low pressure pump station to overcome the failure of the old siphon line. Ian filled out a pre application for this loan program that does not bind the city. It indicates to Diener our interest in up to a $7 million loan with 100% forgiveness. One thing that we found out is that the treasurer has not loaned all of the bridge loan money that we believed would have been loaned in the first 2 or 3 weeks when the mayor and I went to a meeting on it. And they asked us at our training session to consider applying for this zero interest cash flow bridge loan. If we apply for it, even if we're not funded, if we apply for it, we get 50 additional points towards this SRF loan application. And 50 points in a competitive loan can mean a lot of things. What I provided you is a simple draft statement of what we would do is the town board would adopt a resolution that I provided you. It does not have to be approved by the local government commission. There are no fees involved with it. And you have borrowed $500,000 from 3 of your 4 funds, $1.5 million. We would ask for a bridge loan of $1.5 million. Again, it carries 0% interest, and we have 5 years to pay it back. This is again bridging our FEMA requirements. So we would be paid up to $1.5 million. We can collect interest on it, and we can use it to cover our costs until FEMA repays us for the expenses we've got. And as you know, it'll be 3 to 4 years before FEMA does repay us. So this loan would help us. There's no downside. There's no fees involved in it, and we have 5 years to pay it back. And hopefully FEMA will pay this back by that time. And if we adopt the resolution and apply for it, even if we're turned down or they run out of money, we'll get the 50 points we need for that SRF line. So Ian and I are bringing this to you. We believe this is a kind of an opportunity. And what we'd ask you to do tonight, other than to ask a lot of questions, is to consider adopting the resolution to approve us applying for this bridge loan.
I don't have any questions. I'm ready to make a motion.
That's what I was voting for.
Since you asked for no questions.
No,
You said lots of questions.
I thought I said lots of questions. I was hoping I was clear enough, but sometimes I'm not.
We ain't gonna ask no question. Chuck's gonna make a motion.
It's got a motion already.
I move
Ready to
that,
go.
I move that we, to pass a resolution to borrow $1.5 million from the state of North Carolina under the cash flow loans for disaster response activities program.
Thank you. Okay, got a motion by Chuck,
Second.
second by John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
On behalf of the staff, I want to thank the town board for the confidence you have in us and the excellent questions you ask and the patience you have with us. And I'm really thinking of Chuck when I say that.
Yeah.
He has done a yeoman's job asking some really excellent questions last week, and you should thank him. He keeps our feet to the fire, and we appreciate that. But I do want you to know how appreciative we are of your time and your attention.
Is that all you have?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We move on. Ms. Town Attorney, do you have anything for us this evening?
No, I do not.
You were looking at a proposal over what,
Well, yeah.
to make sure we're on par. That's a good attorney right there. Okay, we'll move on to communication from our board. John, you got something to ask about that letter?
Both Chuck and I believe, maybe all of us, when we were picking up litter, we were, I think, a little bit frustrated by the fact that a lot of that garbage is coming from the retailers there. And I would love to see us ask those retailers and or the property owners to help us keep that area clean. It is, we could do what we did every week.
Yeah.
Literally.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
And,
There's still more, wasn't there?
I'm
Oh, I
sure.
was by there yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I passed by yesterday, wipes all over the
Yeah.
place.
Yeah. And so what I would love to see is at the very least, ask them to put trash cans in the parking lot. And also invest some time in helping clean that area up. A lot of the garbage that we picked up was flat out in the parking lot.
So I
So-
know that
Yeah.
the owner is Ingalls Corporation.
Correct.
I'm calling them out. Ingalls owns where Walmart is. And the tenants are Walmart, Belk, PetSmart. And I think whatever we can do to encourage them.
Just ask. 'em. I
Ask.
mean,
So
maybe
who can
they
we get
don't
to
know.
compose a letter?
Yeah.
We'll be happy to
If you
work
put
on
the
that.
garbage can like where you put the buggies up, it'd be ideal.
They only have 2 trash cans that I've
There
seen near the entrance
Yeah.
of the store.
I move
That's
that
it.
we request town staff to compose a letter and send a letter with the mayor's signature to the owner and tenants in the shopping facility, the Walmart shopping facility, requesting that the parking lot and surrounding grounds be kept clean.
Exactly.
Second.
Second to John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I don't think you're gonna get nobody opposed.
Thank you.
Appreciate you doing that. Anthony, you have anything?
I do not, sir. Thank you.
Anything up on the DOT you need to catch us up on?
Oh, as you know, there's been some lane shifts on Russ Avenue this past week. I think they closed the right-hand lane. Now it's a short as you come off. Just be careful. And they're getting ready to switch the bridge
Did the
at
bats
the
leave?
top.
Are they gonna have two bridges there?
But
I would like to say for the television audience, the roundabout at Jay Creek and Russ Avenue is not in the city of Waynesville.
that is not the
Please,
town
please do not
limits.
call your police department or your manager's office.
That is in county territory.
That is in the county territory. That is not in
Right.
Waynesville City. It may have a Waynesville address, but it's not in.
That's the post office's fault.
Yeah.
At least once a week, I have to explain that to people. At least
Especially on
once, sometimes
Jonathan
more.
Creek.
Like-
Jonathan Creek is not in town limits.
Yeah.
Just say,
Much of it's in Maggie's limits.
Maggie
now.
Valley now.
Mhm.
And if you live on a state road, we don't maintain the state roads in the town of Waynesville.
and we have asked repeatedly for North Carolina Department of Transportation to repair this street going up Eagles Nest, but
Yes.
that is a
Yes, we do.
state road and we cannot fix it.
Yeah, I got a call on that and advised the lady to call Division 14. And so she called back and thanked me and said, like, the next couple of days, it went and fixed the area next to the Laurel Ridge Country Club, where they had the big thing across the
Oh,
road.
they
that,
fixed that
Did they
finally?
Wow.
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 Yeah,
Good job.
she called me back and said, thank you for giving me that information, but they came right out and fixed it.
That's after I think
We
we,
might better check that out. But that's what she told me, that it was fixed there to that.
yeah, and thank you for fixing the drive on, next to Publix. That was,
Yeah.
was us.
Well, do you know when the guys are gonna do that patching the potholes?
Which one?
Number
So
one.
we're working on the updated list. of the
There were just
crews
two.
and everything
Which
right
one?
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
you guys got your hands full right now,
There's
shorthanded. We
a
do
couple
understand that.
now. We'll get you an updated list.
Yes, yeah. Thank you. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So proud. Okay, Chuck, do you have anything?
No.
No, sir.
Okay, but nothing else
I
in
move we
there.
adjourn.
Got a motion by
Can
Chuck?
Wait,
I would like to say, last Friday, I attended the HR lunch down at Public Works for the second time.
Uh-huh.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Paige, our HR director, and Ricky, our Public Works director, are doing wonderful work. I will tell you, I listened to staff and it was packed. It may have been the fact that there were hamburgers and hot dogs
Could have been.
after that. I'm not sure, but
It never hurts.
exactly. And there was discussion about on-call pay, cross-division, on-call coverage, CDL certification. Lot of discussion about compensation and pay equity, retention and hiring, hazardous pay. So it was, man, let me just sum it up for you. And we got the absolute best staff on the planet Earth. And yeah, totally went right out of my head. So
Did that.
I will remember what I was gonna say about 5 minutes after I leave here, so, but just, thank you, Paige, thank you, Ricky, and thank the staff for participating because it was, very helpful to me, as a member of this council to hear, we don't see, what they do on a day-to-day basis, okay? And by sitting in on those two meetings, it allowed me to kind of have a little bit of a window into the things that they are challenged with. Just remember, Ricky talked about pothole patching. One of the issues that was brought up was by, I guess, the leader of that crew, Ricky, talked about that he was 2 men down. And they are working dawn to dusk to patch the potholes, but they need 2 more people. So, yeah, so.
He's working on it.
We're gonna get it done, and we have another HR hour scheduled in public works on June 7th, 11 a.m., same place. Anybody's welcome to come. We encourage it, we want y'all there. We encourage the staff, the council, activity, in this meeting. And I actually encourage you to know this department head. I think it's really helpful to have those from different divisions and things so that they can answer questions that I can answer. So I really want this to continue. I think there's a good
Likewise, same to you, and I think it's connecting a lot of the dots. Before I started here, I watched some of the council meetings on some of the concerns and all that. I think that's being addressed in these meetings as well. So likewise, it's good for the employees, but it's also good to see the council members come into the meeting. And it'll go a long way.
Yeah.
So we appreciate it as well.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
And thank you, John, for building.
Yeah.
Love it.
We may make you the permanent liaison.
Sign me up. I already RSVP'd the page for next month.
Do I need to make my motion?
Yeah, you need to make
I move we adjourn.
Got a second for Julia. All in favor, say aye. Thank you all.
So that loan is pretty bad.
Good to meet you.
What I need.
It is.
Let me get my glasses back. Okay. Okay.
It never hurts to have some.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll do that tomorrow.
Right.
That afternoon.
Right. I'll do that. I'll have my. And
You know,
I would
I
like to
went on
attend.
the
I know that
website.
only 2 of us
I
can
went on the
go.
website to look
So
at
I want to go to that. Yeah.
updated.
was out of town.
2022.
I didn't have it RSVP, but I
That's
know.
good. Well, I mean, it hasn't been updated, so I don't know
No, I
where
read that.
you know,
I got
sure
it.
it is
Actually, I
before.
put it on my.
I didn't pick this up. So I'm stuck on.
But
But
then
that's
I know that only 2 of
that's
us
the
can go.
difference between 30 and 100% placement.
Yeah, what I- yeah, 11 o'clock, 11 to 12. Yeah, got it down. So you count me in and, yeah, maybe it's,
Yes, sir.
Anthony wants to go, maybe John can sit out one.
I can't tell you.
I know we can't, 3 of us can't go unless, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Because I
Absolutely.
can't tell you.
Gosh, you guys are doing great
Did you
work.
see that questionnaire? Thank you.
They get them all.
I need you to come by tomorrow morning and fill that out. That's something that Ian needs.
It's a what now?
That's for the,
Yeah, hanging on there. Yeah. Yeah, it's every day. I'm glad I'm retired now because it's absolutely, it's 24 hours.
I'll shoot you a text tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's a little
more than
just
your signature. Yes, sir.
They're hanging it, Pepper's really, he's strong.
I'll text you.
Eli just,
Okay.
you have to look at Eli to see if he's breathing.